Muhammad,
Jesus
can you
Christ.
hear us? You're on air with ABN.
Praise God.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Welcome
How
to
are
the
you,
show.
friend? Welcome, Muhammad.
I'm fine, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Question about if you go to Deuteronomy 18:18,
Yes.
what does it say? Can you read it to me,
Sure.
please?
Oh, we
can.
sure can.
Glad. This is what we want to talk about. Thank you for calling, Muhammad.
And we thank you. We really do, because this is the topic, and we thank you for asking something
And
about the topic.
explain it to the people. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
yes,
Yeah, we
we're
can
listening.
hear
Can
you.
you hear us? Can you
Yes.
hear us?
Explain it to me that what is this verse referring
Yeah.
to whom?
Yes.
Is it Jesus or Muhammad?
Okay, let me read the passage, and then if my brother David wants to chime in to give some points, that's his prerogative. Let me read it. Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 to 19, and I'm pretty certain he'd like to read 20 to 22 as well, but let me read the immediate context and explain to you its historical contextual meaning. Yahweh your God will raise up for you a prophet like me, this is Moses speaking, from among your own brothers. You must listen to him. Now here's the key. Muhammad, I want you to pay attention to verse 16, for this is the key. For this is what you asked of Yahweh your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly, when you said, let us not hear the voice of Yahweh our God, nor see this great fire anymore, or we will die. Did you hear that part before I move on? Did you hear that part?
No.
Okay.
I would appreciate if you read the whole verse 18 to the end.
Muhammad, I just said I'm going to read the entire context, but I stopped to make sure you're listening and not avoiding or ignoring the passage which I cited, which is part of the context of Deuteronomy 18:18. Did you hear verse 16? Should I read it again before I move on? Is he there? Are you there?
I'm still here. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm
Let me
here.
read it again. Deuteronomy 18:18 doesn't begin at 18. It begins at 15. And all the way to actually 22. But I'm going to read Deuteronomy 18, 15 to 19. Let me read it again. Please, I ask you, if you're sincerely asking who this is, please listen to the passage. Let me read it one more time. Yahweh your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own brothers. You must listen to him. For this is what you, speaking to the people, Israel, asked of Yahweh your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly, when you said, let us not hear the voice of Yahweh our God, nor see this great fire anymore, or we will die. Please make sure you heard that part. Okay, now, continuing to 17. Yahweh said to me, what they say is good. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I command him. If anyone does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. Now, don't forget the context. Moses is saying, because this is what you requested of God, you Israelites said you didn't want to hear from God, lest you die. You speak to us. You, Moses, speak to us instead of God speaking to us directly. God said what they asked for is good. Therefore, from now on, I'm going to be raising up prophets who will speak to them on my behalf. So in the context, the meaning is this. Since Israel was too afraid to hear directly from God, and they asked Moses, you speak to us on behalf of God. We can't deal with hearing this voice or seeing this awesome, majestic presence. God said, I will honor their request, and a prophet will come to speak to them on my behalf, so I don't have to speak to them directly. So the historical, contextual meaning is this. In every generation until the coming of Christ, Yahweh raised up prophets who would speak to them on Yahweh's behalf, because this is what Israel asked of Yahweh. This is what they asked. Yahweh, we don't want to hear from you. You're too holy, majestic. We're afraid we will die. Let Moses speak to us. And God says, not only will Moses speak to you, but I'm going to send prophets after him to continue to speak to you on my behalf. That's the contextual historical meaning.
Okay, so who is that?
I just told you.
No,
Israel is asking, let me read 16 again.
That is Muhammad.
No.
That is
Muhammad.
Muhammad. If you read it carefully, please.
Yes,
no,
I did.
Let me talk. You talk for 5 minutes. Now let me talk, okay? It says, I will raise unto you a prophet like you, like Moses.
Yes.
Right? Is there any similarity between Moses and Muhammad? Yes, there are 10 similarities.
Yes, and vast differences that show
Nothing is similar
Moses.
between Moses and Jesus. There are two different entities here. Moses is naturally born and Jesus is born from a single mother. He is son of Maryam. Is that right? And then
Muhammad.
Moses is born naturally. Muhammad is born naturally from mother and father. That is the similarity. That's what the verse says. I will raise unto you a prophet just like you. So anything which is similar to Moses is Muhammad. Not only the birth, but if you go further, both of them, Moses and Muhammad, once they established their religion, whatever at that time was, then they migrated from their land wherever they were. Moses migrated from Egypt to Sinai. Muhammad migrated from Mecca to Medina. Absolute similarity. Both established a state of their own. Moses established a state in Sinai. Muhammad established a state in Mecca. Medina, not Mecca, sorry, Medina. Similar. Both died naturally. Right? Moses died naturally. Muhammad died naturally.
No, Muhammad died a
Both
cursed death.
had lived their life just like normal human beings. Contrary to these two, these are similarity. Contrary to these two, Jesus was born without father, his single mother. He died unnaturally. I mean, he did not die. We believe he did not die. He was raised to heaven. Right? You believe in that too. You believe that he was not a prophet. Right? Hello?
Yes, we're waiting for you to finish your case so we can refute your case. So go ahead.
Yes. So when Jesus was raised, he was totally raised out of unnatural phenomenon. He was not a prophet according to you. According to me, he was a prophet, but not similar to Moses, because his end was not completed. He did not die natural death. Right? Muhammad had his normal life. He married. He has kids. He died naturally. We know where he died. We know how he died. Moses died. He had his normal life. He died naturally. These are two great prophets. So you cannot say
Muhammad,
Moses is like Jesus. That's the difference.
Okay.
Muhammad,
That's what this
Muhammad,
Muhammad,
please
okay.
let us address
Yes.
you now.
we let you talk for several
let us
minutes.
address you. Please listen.
Yes. And by the way, I thank you. You asked a question that is relevant to our topic, and you gave probably, I'd say, the best case a Muslim could make for the idea that Deuteronomy 18 is referring to Muhammad, and your thoughts were carefully thought out and so on. So I appreciate this. This is unique among some of the calls that we've gotten. Now, I'd just like to point out a couple brief problems, and then Sam will have some more to add. You referred to the idea that Muhammad is like Moses. The problem is, everything you pointed out is irrelevant to the meaning of like Moses in the context of the book of Deuteronomy. Why? Because Deuteronomy itself defines what the phrase like Moses is referring to in this context. We turn to Deuteronomy 34, and this is what we read. This is what like Moses means. Since that time, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, for all the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to perform in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh and all his servants. So think about this. Like Moses is referring to someone who would know God face to face, and to someone who would perform signs and wonders. Is this like Moses? I mean, is Muhammad like Moses in this sense? No. Did Muhammad know Allah face to face? No. Muhammad supposedly received revelations from Gabriel. And did Muhammad perform miracles? No, the Quran denies over and over again that Muhammad could perform signs and wonders. The people during his time challenged him over and over again, please, would you perform a sign like Moses? And Muhammad simply could not do it. Second, we have to consider the context of the passage. This prophet, like Moses, was to be raised up from the countrymen, the brethren of the Israelites. In context, this refers to fellow Jews. I invite you to go back to Deuteronomy 18:2, where it uses the exact same word to refer, obviously, to one's fellow Israelites. No one would have said this refers to Arabs. No Jew hearing this verse would have said, aha, when it says from among our brethren here, it must mean from among some Arab tribe, and it must mean thousands of years after this prophecy. This is not how they would have interpreted it. They would have said, yes, we're waiting eventually, but it's going to be right here in Israel. This is where this prophecy is going to be fulfilled.
I need to add some other points. I hope he's listening. It is obvious that when I read the passages, Muhammad wasn't paying attention. He was just getting ready to just make his case and ignored everything I said. I clearly said, please pay attention to the context. Let me read Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 to 16 to show this prophecy has absolutely nothing to do with the false prophet named Muhammad. And I'll give you other reasons to show that according to Moses, Muhammad is a false prophet. This prophecy is referring to the fact that the Israelites asked, we do not want to see God or hear his voice, lest we die. So you, Moses, speak to us on God's behalf. God not only honored that request, he said that he'll continue to honor it by raising up prophets to speak to them on God's behalf. So it's speaking about God speaking to Israel through prophets, not sending an Ishmaelite to kill them and to expel them from the Hijaz. Let me read Deuteronomy 18, 15 to 16 one more time. Because again, I said, please pay attention to the contextual meaning so you know what it means in its historical context. But you obviously ignored me because you wanted to quote from a book from Ahmed Deedat or someone about 10 irrelevant similarities between Moses and Muhammad, ignoring all the relevant dissimilarities. But let me read Deuteronomy 18, 15 and 16. Yahweh, your God, will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own brothers. You must listen to him. And here's the reason why. 16 tells you, for this is what you, Ishmaelites living in Mecca, or Israelites, this is what you, Israelites, asked of Yahweh, your God, at Horeb, not at the Kaaba, on the day of the assembly when you said, let us not hear the voice of Yahweh our God, nor see this great fire anymore, or we will die. Because you made this request, God honored that request by letting Moses speak to you. And now that Moses is about to die, God is going to send other prophets to continue to speak to you. This is why the verse after that, verse 17, clearly says, Yahweh said to me, what they say is good. I like what they say. They've learned to fear me. Therefore, I don't have to show myself to them in order for them to know that I am God and they need to fear me. And then he says, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. So in the context, the application is to the Israelites. You Israelites, God will continue to speak to you through prophets like Moses because you asked not to see God. You didn't want God to address you directly. And God said, that's good. I'm going to raise up prophets. Again, let me continue the thought of the brother, what he said. He said the similarities between a prophet like Moses is not that they were both born naturally or died naturally. In fact, Muhammad didn't die like Moses. Moses died at a ripe old age and God buried him. Muhammad died an accursed death. His death was very painful according to your sources. It says he suffered the effects of poison and died a very painful, excruciatingly painful and shameful death. So he didn't even die like Moses. That's an error and a distortion of the facts provided by the Muslim sources. But what he said a prophet like Moses would know Yahweh face to face and do miracles like Moses. Did Muhammad know the God of Moses intimately? Impossible. If your Quran is true, Muhammad did not know the God that Moses knew. You know why? Because according to chapter 5 verse 18 of the Quran, chapter 5 verse 18, Allah is not a father to Israel. Israel is not a son of Allah. It says, the Jews and Christians say, we are the children of Allah and his beloved. Say, why does he punish you for your sins? Nay, you are mortals that he has created. So according to Muhammad, his God is not the father of Israel. Moses' God is a father to Israel. Deuteronomy 32 verse 6. Is this the way you repay Yahweh, O foolish and unwise people? Is he not your father? Yahweh is the father of Israel, your creator who made you and formed you? Deuteronomy 32:18, the same book of Deuteronomy that you say predicts Muhammad, exposes Muhammad as a false prophet. Deuteronomy 32:18, you deserted the rock who fathered you. You forgot the God who gave you birth, obviously in a spiritual sense. So note, Moses' God that he knew intimately is a father to Israel. Moses' God, whom he worshipped, gave birth spiritually to the nation of Israel by delivering them out of Egypt and bringing them into the promised land. He is Israel's father. Muhammad's Allah is a father to no one, especially Israel. How can you say they worship the same God? Muhammad's God, according to the Old Testament, Deuteronomy, is a false God. And then finally, let us see if Muhammad did miracles like Moses. Your Quran says no. He did not do miracles like Moses. Therefore, he's not a prophet like Moses. He's a false prophet who preached a different God that Moses did not proclaim. Surah 28, verses 48 to 49. Surah 28, verses 48 to 49. But now, when the truth has come to them from ourselves, they say, why are not miracles, signs sent to him, meaning Muhammad, like those which were sent to Moses? How come he doesn't have miracles like Moses? Did Allah say, okay, here are the miracles to show that Muhammad is a prophet like Moses? Do they not reject the signs, the miracles which were formerly sent to Moses? Do you see Muhammad's excuse? Well, there's no reason for me to do miracles like Moses because you rejected the miracles of Moses. If I do miracles, you reject them. In other words, Muhammad admits he didn't do a miracle like Moses. Therefore, he's not like Moses. He didn't preach the God that Moses preached. He's a false prophet according to Deuteronomy. So don't use Deuteronomy because it actually works against you, not for you.